Hello and welcome back to Spoiler Season. There's going to be a quick update on lightning skills, talk of the trade improvements coming to Path of Exile, and the two new Grand Spectrum jewels, which are looking pretty impressive, or at the very least one of them is. So to start off, the lightning skills that you are looking forward to playing have been slightly nerfed. The base damage of Lightning Conduit in particular was cut by about 35%. However, the shock scaling has been upped from 15 to 20% more damage per 5% shock. In other words, it's about a 20% nerf, assuming that you have decent shock effect, being a larger nerf if you have less shock effect. This probably means that the skill is very good, but not the absolute best skill in the game, which is totally fine. If you're thinking of League starting it, it should still be super playable if that's what you want to play. With that quick update aside though, let's start talking about the most important part, some of the changes to trade coming in Path of Exile. The first of which is this, a really cool new tech that will highlight an item in your stash tab when you get a trade whisper for it. I know that a lot of people are going to say, yeah, but I don't see any highlight here. It is very subtle unless you're on a very modern, very bright, somewhat large, high-resolution monitor. On my main monitor, which is 1440p and very new, I can see it fine. On my side monitor, which is 1080p and a bit older, it's almost completely invisible. Don't worry, GGG has already confirmed they're going to make it more visible, so you should actually be able to see it by the time the League launches. This is really nice for when you have a bunch of the same item in a tab and it gets lost and you're not sure which one it is, and you give someone the wrong one and then they're a dick about it, and then you don't really want to trade them because, yeah, you made a mistake, but now they're being a dick, or maybe they just ignore listed you, and it's just a pretty bad experience. For no real reason. There were third-party tools that already did this. However, not everyone used them. Not everyone should feel the need to use them. Totally cool if you do. Totally cool if you still want to. It's nice to see this as a base game feature. And so now let's get into the rest of the changes for trade in Path of Exile 319 Lake of Calandra. The trade site is being enabled for console players. Right now, console players have a really weird trade market thing that is very bad. I've heard zero good things about the trade market on consoles. So for some context, the goal with this change is unification. GGG is going to push for crossplay or some sort of unification between consoles and PC. Personally, I think it would be great if there was crossplay. From my understanding, it has always been an issue with Microsoft and Sony, with Sony specifically being the more problematic one. GGG has wanted it from the start, crossplay, cross-purchase, you name it. Hopefully at some point it'll happen. I don't know if there's anything we as players can do, but hey, if you happen to have a contact at Sony or Microsoft, let them know that you want crossplay in Path of Exile. Today though, the main topic is trade. Console has the trade market, which makes it difficult to find items, but actually very easy to purchase them. This is in some ways the inverse of what we have on the trade site, where if you don't really know how to work it, it can be very easy to find items, but a little bit difficult to actually purchase them. The more you know about trading, such as filtering what's on offer to get rid of price fixers, or using TFT to trade with people more directly, usually the less painful your trading experience is. Trade in Path of Exile is a skill, but that's probably a topic for another video. Though if you're interested in that video, let me know down in the comments, because that's something I would be happy to talk about. Right now in console, the way it works is, it's just a page in a category, which means if you want boots with movement speed, you can't find those. You could find Titan Greaves, and you'd have to look through all the Titan Greaves until you found some with move speed and the other stats you want. I haven't played on console, so I'm sorry if I get some of the finer details wrong. This was just how someone explained it to me. As GGG says, the goal of these systems is to add an element of friction. They do not want trade to be too fast and too easy. You can like it or hate it, that's their decision, and Path of Exile is their game, so it's probably not changing anytime soon. So what they're going to do is enable the trade site for console on Path of Exile. But as they talk about, you also have to copy-paste the trade message. Now there's going to be a direct whisper button, which is great. And even better, this functionality will apply to the PC version. So now when you're on the trade site, you can just click a button and message someone immediately, at least so long as you're logged in. Personally, I think that alone is a great quality of life change, and it's going to make trading just that little bit less annoying. Something else that they talk about is if you get a direct message, you're going to get linked the actual item, and this is great. This is great for so many reasons. In this, it's, hi, I'd like to buy your Venter's Gamble for 2 Chaos. But what if someone said, hi, I'd like to buy your Venter's Gamble listed for 2 Exalts, offer 1.5. You can then look at that item and you can go, that's a really good Venter's, I'm sticking with the price of 2x. Or you can say, yeah, I mean, it's got some bad rolls, the res is really mediocre and it's only 8% quant. Sure, I'll make this trade. It helps you decide without having to wait and without having to go to your stash to actually check the item. It also probably means that if someone tries to edit trade messages, all of this is going to be way more suspicious and easier for you to tell, which is also a good thing. Like, hi, I'd like to buy your Venter's Gamble, listed for 2 Chaos in Standard, and you don't have a 2 Chaos tab, you have a 2 Divine tab. Well, you're going to know something's up, and you're going to look at the item and go, well, that's not a 2 Chaos item. Should help some of those sus trades. Though to be fair, sus trades are a fairly small percentage of trades in Path of Exile based on my experiences. So trading improvements in Path of Exile are great. Now next up, I did want to talk about the newest Grand Spectrums. Before I do though, a quick reminder that if you've been enjoying this video, please leave a like, as that's a great way to help me out in the YouTube algorithm. For more content such as build recommendations or covering the spoilers, get subscribed, as I'm going to be talking about all that stuff in the lead up to League launch. Or if you want something more immediate, maybe you're looking for a game to chill with before the League actually goes live, maybe you're a console player who's going to be waiting a little bit of extra time. Then check out my second channel, 10 Gaming Thoughts, video in the card right now, where I recently talked about city builders, and why I find survival city builders to be so much more fun than sandbox city builders. A special thanks to my patrons and channel members for the continued support. Your direct support goes a long way to helping make videos like this one possible. Thank you, and more about how you can support at the end. For now, let's get into these Grand Spectrums, because they've gotten really interesting. The 2 new Grand Spectrums are another minimum charge jewel, which means of the 6 that they're adding, yes, I know last time I said there are going to be 6 total, they're actually going to be 6 new ones for 9 total. Slight correction on that. 3 of the new ones are going to be minimum power, minimum endurance, and minimum frenzy. Again, as a reminder, you do need maximum charges equal to your minimum, but it will give you up to +9 minimum. And these are really interesting because they have some very fun interactions with unique items, especially those that might otherwise modify charges. Minimum charges have always had some really cool interactions. For example, if you're using Eternal Apple, you want to have 1 less than your maximum endurance charge in terms of minimums. And this could actually be a pretty good way to get that. Also, because there's 1 of each and you get +1 per Grand Spectrum, you can mix and match. For 3 jewel sockets, you can get +3 power, +3 endurance, and +3 frenzy charges. That's right, you can get charge sustain on any build for the cost of a jewel socket. But it's the other one that's even more interesting to me. 12% chance to avoid elemental ailments per Grand Spectrum. So if you use 3, you have over 100% chance to avoid elemental ailments. And again, this could be mix and match. Cut. And again, this could be mix and match time. Maybe you're playing a raider. Well, you already get frenzies really easily. You also get a lot of suppression. And you get Ellie Avoid, but not quite enough to cap you. In fact, you're 30 short. So you could use a Grand Spectrum for 36% chance to avoid elemental ailments, a second Grand Spectrum for +3 to minimum endurance charges, and +3 to minimum power charges. You now have a bunch of extra damage, a bunch of extra defenses, permanent charges that can be used to boost your resistances, and elemental ailment immunity. As a quick note, the values do scale per Grand Spectrum you have equipped. I know I've been acting as if you have 3, this is because I don't think there's any situations where you'd want to use less than 3. But in theory, if you only had 2 Grand Spectrums equipped, yes, you would only get +2 minimum endurance and +2 minimum frenzy, just using those as random examples. But of course, this only leaves me with one question. We now know that there's 6 new Grand Spectrums. 1 of them is Minion Crit. 1 of them is Avoid Elemental Ailments. 3 of them are minimum charges. But what's the last one? My personal speculation, it's going to be something damage over time based. But I'm curious, what do you think? Put your guesses down in the comments below. A special thanks to my patrons and YouTube channel members. Your support helps keep me independent and allows me to turn down things like sketchy mobile game sponsorships. You can do so for as low as $1 a month over on Patreon. Or, if you want to support me completely for free, then you can join the community by hopping into my Discord, link below. If you want more content, check out my second channel, 10 Gaming Thoughts. It's a place that I use to review games, ramble my way through video essays, and a lot more. Or of course, you can just click the suggested video in the card right now. I hope you learned something today, and maybe I'll see you again sometime soon.